We were in water up to about my chest, hold our rifles up above us and get to the beach the best way we could.
And when we hit that beach, we knew we were in trouble.
It wasn't until we hit shore that it finally dawned us what we were getting into.
As we sailed in to the shore, I happened to be in the second wave to go in, and it was somewhat of a, well, maybe today you might refer to it as a traumatic experience to find what was waiting for us on the beach.
The beach master's job was to make sure, or to try to make sure to keep the beach clear so that they wouldn't just have boats wrecked all over the beach and the ships that you needed to get in couldn't get in.
It was very quiet when we hit the beach. Not entirely quiet. There was sporadic gunfire.
They allowed us to land without much fire to start with. But this Japanese general, Kuribayashi, his plan was to leave the first 5 waves in and get the beach as congested as possible and then open up with all of his mortar and artillery. As it turned out, wave after wave coming in, the third, fourth waves were catching up with the first and second waves. And this is what the Japanese wanted. They wanted it to get it all congested there and then open up with their artillery and their mortar.
One Navy individual who's known as the beach master, he rides parallel to the shore, saying what's happening, and with his bullhorn, he was yelling, "Get the hell off the beach."
When we came ashore, there's a rise of about 30, 35 feet, and it's all volcanic ash.
The beach was not sand, it was volcanic ash. And actually to walk on the volcanic ash, you sank up to your ankles. It was just like walking in snow.
The black sand of the beach was a stark contrast to any sand I'd ever seen before. It was a very loose sand so that you sunk into it as you would walk along. So that meant it was hard to advance or to advance quickly.
There were a series of 3 terraces from the beach up to the first airfield. And it was all volcanic ash, and it was so thin that the amphibs just sunk in it.
As we left the landing craft, we advanced a few yards, and then there was what can best be described as a terrace. All right, we call it the first terrace. And after you went up this first terrace, there was a plateau for several yards, and then there was another terrace.
The beach was covered with men. I mean, lying in up against it's a terrace landing area. The beach was terraced up this way.
And the first wave got in, and they started up, and they got up a little bit, and they let them go. And we thought, well, you know, this isn't going to be bad at all. So we got in, and as we got up toward the top, that's when all the firing and everything broke loose.
It's very difficult to describe because it just came in one huge barrage, and every gun that they had on the island opened up against us.
And then the salvos started coming down, and the beach just jumped.
That's what surprised us. We were going in, we saw all these shells hitting on the beach. We were saying, where's that coming from? It was the Japanese firing at the beaches.
Every foot was zeroed in with either rifles or mortars.
The mortars started landing from Suribachi because they were prepared, like I said earlier, and they knew the exact distances they needed to drop those mortars into where we were.
The first wave has gone in, letting mortar fires coming in for sure on Iwo Jima quite heavily, and going up and down the beach. Everybody was pinned down. The movement, and that's what they were screaming and hollering, get off the beach, move inland, you know.
We saw what was happening on the beach. The type of fire coming from the Japanese was unbelievable.
We were catching artillery and mortar fire from both sides, from the volcano on the south and from the hills that we hadn't even gotten into yet up in the north.
You didn't know where the fire was coming from because their pillboxes and their blockhouses were so camouflaged and dug in the ground. And of course, the whole island from one end to the other was nothing but tunnels.
Just keep pounding the beach, and then they would come back down the other way. And so you just kept thinking, I hope this one doesn't hit our hole.
The Japs were dug in on Mount Suribachi, looking down our throats. In fact, they blew quite a few ships out of the water before the troops even got to the beach because of the way they were zeroed in along the beach and the surrounding beach areas. See,
they're looking right down your neck. You couldn't dig deep enough to get out, even if you could dig down in that sand. They were still looking right at you.